When I die, watch my safe, not my casket.
Evelyn Hart, 62, said those words on a Tuesday night. She was a trust attorney, 40 years in Savannah, 300 wills written. She had seen families tear apart over silverware. Now she held an envelope. No return address. The letter had 6 words. You will die soon. No warning. Her heart should have raced. It didn't. She smiled. Someone wanted her dead. Someone close. Close enough to slip paper under her office door. She touched the brass key on her neck. The safe held more than money. It held proof. Proof of what her husband hid, what her partner stole, what her sister did. If they wanted her dead, fine. She would die first, on her terms. Then she would watch. Who would cry at her funeral? And who would reach for her safe?
Before we begin, if you could tap subscribe and like, it would mean so much to me. And if you don't mind, please leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from. May health and happiness find their way to you right where you are. All right then, let's begin today's story.
Chapter 2. A body that wasn't there. Thursday night. A storm rolled through Savannah. Rain hit the windshield like gravel. Evelyn gripped the wheel of her silver Mercedes. The river road was empty. She pulled over near the old bridge, killed the engine. Her hands shook, not from fear, from excitement. She had planned this for 3 days. Every detail, every drop. The pig blood came from a butcher 2 counties over. Cash only, no questions. She smeared it on the driver's seat, on the steering wheel, on the shattered glass she had broken herself. Her reading glasses went on the floor, cracked, twisted. Her wedding ring, the one Graham gave her 38 years ago, she placed on the center console. The rain would wash away her footprints. She stood back, looked at the scene. A woman had struggled here. A woman had bled. A woman had vanished. The river below was dark and hungry. Evelyn Hart was dead. She smiled in the rain. Then she disappeared into the trees where Elena waited with a car. Friday morning, news spread like fire. Prominent attorney missing. Foul play suspected. The police found the Mercedes at 6:47 a.m. A jogger called it in. Detective Elena Ruiz stood at the scene. Her face revealed nothing. Blood on the seat, a young officer said. Glasses broken. Wedding ring left behind. Elena nodded slowly. Bag everything. She knew the truth. She was the only one who did. Evelyn had saved her daughter 12 years ago. A custody case. A violent ex-husband. Elena's daughter was alive because of Evelyn Hart. Now Elena was paying that debt. The phone call started within the hour. Graham Hart, 65, called the police station 4 times. His voice cracked on each call. My wife. Where is my wife? What happened to her? He sounded broken, destroyed. But Elena had been a detective for 23 years. She knew the difference between grief and performance. Graham's voice cracked. His questions, however, were very specific. Was anything taken from the car? Any documents? Any keys? Elena wrote that down. Claire Hart Morrow landed in Savannah by noon, 39 years old. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. She ran a PR firm in Manhattan. Image was her business. She didn't cry at the airport, didn't cry in the taxi, didn't cry when she saw her father. We need to control the narrative, Claire said, before the press makes her into a victim or a villain. Graham stared at her. Your mother is missing. Probably dead. I know. Claire's voice didn't waver. That's why we need to be strategic. Noah Hart arrived last. 36. Broad shoulders. Quiet eyes. He had driven 8 hours from Atlanta, where he worked as a physical therapist. He didn't ask about documents or narratives. He walked straight to the river. Stood there for an hour, alone. When he came back, his eyes were red. She's not in that water, Noah said quietly. Graham frowned. What? Mom? She's not there. Noah looked at his father. I don't know how I know, but I know. That night, the alarm went off. Evelyn's law office, Hart and Lawson. 3rd floor of a historic brick building on Bull Street. The security company called the police. Elena took the call herself. She arrived in 12 minutes. The front door was intact. No broken windows, but the motion sensor in room 7 had triggered. Room 7, the room with the floor safe. Elena walked the hallway. Her flashlight cut through the dark. The door to room 7 was open, just a crack. She pushed it wider. Empty. The safe was still sealed. The brass plate on the floor gleamed in her light. But someone had been here. She could smell cologne. Faint. Expensive. She knew that scent. Jude Lawson, Evelyn's law partner. Elena stepped back, pulled out her phone. She typed a message to an unlisted number. Someone already came for it. Your partner. He didn't get in. 3 dots appeared. Then a reply. Good. Let him try again. I want to see how desperate he gets. Elena pocketed the phone. The game had started. And Evelyn Hart, watching from a rented cabin 30 miles away, was keeping score. Chapter 3. The Angle of Tears. Sunday. The funeral. Evelyn had planned her own service years ago. Mahogany casket. White lilies. No open viewing. The church was full. 300 people. Colleagues. Clients. People who owed her. People who feared her. Evelyn watched it all. She sat in a van across the street. Tinted windows. A laptop connected to the church's security cameras. Elena had arranged everything. This is insane, Elena muttered beside her. This is necessary, Evelyn said. Her eyes never left the screen. Graham sat in the front pew. His shoulders shook. His hands covered his face. The sound of his sobbing filled the church. Evelyn watched him cry. 40 years of marriage. 40 years of shared meals, shared beds, shared lies. Did he love her? Or did he love what she provided? She couldn't tell. That was the problem. Noah sat beside his father, spine straight, jaw tight. He didn't cry, but his hand never left the casket. Through the entire service, he touched the wood like he was keeping her there. Evelyn's throat tightened. Of all her children, Noah asked for the least, took the least, expected the least. Maybe that meant something. Maybe it didn't. Claire stood at the podium. She gave the eulogy. Her voice was steady, professional. She spoke about legacy, about strength, about the doors her mother opened for women in law. She did not speak about love. Evelyn noticed. Of course she noticed. Claire's eyes were dry. Her posture was perfect. She looked like a woman delivering a quarterly report. Cold, people would whisper later. Heartless. But Evelyn saw something else. Claire's left hand gripped the podium so hard her knuckles went white. That wasn't coldness. That was control. Claire was holding something back. Something enormous. Then there was Marianne, Evelyn's younger sister, 59 years old, church volunteer, neighborhood saint. Marianne wept like a child. Her sobs echoed off the walls. She collapsed against her husband. She had to be helped to her seat. "My sister!" Marianne wailed. "My poor sister." The congregation murmured with sympathy. Evelyn's jaw tightened. She had seen Marianne cry before, at their mother's funeral, at a cousin's wedding, at a PTA meeting when she didn't get her way. Marianne cried beautifully. Marianne cried strategically. The question was, what did she want this time? The answer came 30 minutes later. The service ended. People filed out. Handshakes. Hushed condolences. Empty promises to stay in touch. Evelyn switched to the camera outside her office building. A silver Lexus pulled up. Marianne's car. Marianne stepped out, alone. She looked around, made sure no one followed. Then she walked into the building, straight to the 3rd floor, straight to room 7. Evelyn's blood went cold. The room with the safe. Marianne stood before the heavy door. Her hand trembled on the knob. She whispered something. The audio was faint. Evelyn leaned closer to the laptop. "I'm sorry, Evie." Marianne's voice cracked. "I'm so sorry." She wiped her eyes. Took a breath. "But I have to open it. You understand, right?" "You always understood." Evelyn's fingers curled into fists. "Understood what, Marianne? What did you do?" Marianne tried the door. Locked. She pulled out a key ring. Tried 3 keys. None worked. She kicked the door. A dull thud echoed through the empty hallway. "Damn it, Evie." Her voice was different now. Harder. Colder. "You always had to make everything difficult." The mask had slipped. For just a moment, Evelyn saw the real Marianne. Not a grieving sister. Not a church angel. Something else entirely. Marianne left 15 minutes later, empty-handed, furious. Evelyn sat back in the van. Her chest hurt, not her heart, something deeper. You okay? Elena asked. No. Evelyn stared at the blank screen. My sister just went to rob me before my body was cold. Elena said nothing. But here's what I don't understand. Evelyn turned to face her. She said she was sorry, like she'd done something. Not like she was about to do something. Elena frowned. Past tense. Yes, Evelyn touched the brass key at her neck. What did my sister already do? The question hung in the air. Outside, rain began to fall again. Chapter 4. The first attempt. Monday, 2 days after the funeral. Graham called a family meeting at Evelyn's office. Neutral ground, he said, but there was nothing neutral about it. 3 people stood in room 7. Graham, Jude Lawson, Marianne. The safe sat on the floor like a sleeping beast. Brass plate, steel beneath, 30 years old. Impossible to crack without the combination. Jude Lawson spoke first. We need to establish legal protocols. He was 48, silver at his temples, a smile that never reached his eyes. Evelyn's estate is complex. The firm's assets are intertwined with personal holdings. Graham crossed his arms. Cut the lawyer talk, Jude. What's in the safe? I don't know. Bullshit. Jude's smile flickered, just for a second. Graham, I was her partner, not her confessor. Evelyn kept secrets from everyone, including me. Marianne dabbed her eyes with a tissue. Maybe we should wait. It feels wrong, opening her things so soon. Graham turned on her. You were here yesterday, Marianne. Alone. Security footage. Marianne's face went pale. I wanted to feel close to her. By trying to break into her safe? That's not. I saw the footage. You tried 3 keys. Silence. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. Evelyn watched from her cabin. The laptop screen showed everything. Every glance, every twitch. Her husband, her partner, her sister, all of them wanted in. None of them trusted each other. Good. Let's just open it. Graham said. I'm her husband. I have the right. Jude shook his head. Not without the combination, and possibly not without probate clearance. Probate can take months. Then we wait. Months. Graham stepped closer to Jude. You're stalling. I'm following the law. You're hiding something. Jude's jaw tightened. The smile was gone now. Careful, Graham. Accusations have consequences. So do secrets. Graham's voice dropped low. I know about the Pemberton account. Jude went still. Evelyn leaned forward. Pemberton account? She had never heard of it. Marianne stepped between them. Please. Her voice trembled. This isn't what Evelyn would want. Fighting over money before she's even buried. She's not buried, Graham snapped. There's no body, just a bloody car and a lot of questions. Don't say that. It's the truth. Marianne started crying again. Loud, theatrical. But this time, Evelyn noticed something. Marianne's eyes weren't red. No tears on her cheek. The sound was perfect. The face was dry. The lights went out. No flicker. No warning. Just darkness. Evelyn's screen went black. She scrambled to switch cameras. Nothing. The entire building had lost power. Elena. Evelyn grabbed her phone. The office. Now. In room 7. Chaos. Someone screamed. Marianne. A crash. Something heavy hit the floor. Then a voice. Low. Distorted. The safe holds more than money. Walk away. Another crash. Footsteps. Running. The emergency lights flickered on. Dim red glow. Jude was on the floor, his left arm bleeding. A deep cut from elbow to wrist. Graham stood frozen against the wall. Marianne was gone. Who did this? Graham shouted. Who's there? No answer. The room was empty except for the 2 men. Jude pressed his jacket against the wound. Blood soaked through. Call 911, he said through clenched teeth. Graham didn't move. Graham! Finally, Graham pulled out his phone. His hands were shaking. But Evelyn noticed something. Graham wasn't looking at Jude. He was looking at the safe. Paramedics arrived in 8 minutes. Elena arrived in 6. She secured the scene, took statements, noted that Marianne had disappeared, and returned 20 minutes later, claiming she had panicked and run. The cut on Jude's arm needed 12 stitches. Elena collected a blood sample from the floor. Most of it was Jude's, but not all. That night, Evelyn received Elena's report. The attacker had left something behind. A partial print on the light switch. Elena ran it through the system. The print matched two people in the database. One was Jude Lawson himself. The other was a dead man, a client of Evelyn's, deceased 3 years ago. Official cause of death? Heart attack. But Evelyn remembered that case. She remembered the family's doubts, the rushed cremation, the life insurance payout that went to. She stopped breathing. The payout had gone to Marianne's church. A donation, anonymous, from a dead man's policy. Evelyn set down the report. It wasn't about the money, she whispered. Elena looked at her. What do you mean? The safe. Someone doesn't want the money. Evelyn touched the brass key at her neck. They want to destroy what's inside. Proof? Proof. Evelyn's voice hardened, of a murder that everyone thought was natural. The rain had stopped outside, but the storm was just beginning. Chapter 5. The Dead Woman Speaks. Tuesday. 3 days since Evelyn died. Her family gathered again, this time at Graham's house, the old Victorian on Forsyth Park. Graham had called them, said it was important, said the lawyer had something to share. Jude arrived with his arm in a sling, 12 stitches and a story about a random intruder. Claire flew back from New York. 1 day in Manhattan, that was all she could manage. Noah drove down from Atlanta again. He hadn't slept. The shadows under his eyes proved it. Marianne came last. Red dress, fresh makeup, smiling like nothing had happened. They sat in the living room. The same room where Evelyn had hosted Thanksgiving for 30 years. Jude stood by the fireplace. He held an envelope. Evelyn left instructions, Jude said. Specific instructions for this moment. What moment? Graham asked. When the family gathered after her death. Jude opened the envelope. She recorded a message. Audio. To be played only under these circumstances. Claire leaned forward. She planned for this? Your mother planned for everything. Jude pulled out a small device. A digital recorder. Old technology. Evelyn's style. He pressed play. Evelyn's voice filled the room. Hello, everyone. Marianne gasped. Graham's face went gray. Noah closed his eyes. If you're hearing this, I'm dead. Or at least, you think I am. A pause. Static. Then, I spent 40 years writing wills for other people, helping them protect their families, their assets, their legacies. But I never asked the real question. Another pause. Who would protect me from my own family? The room was silent. Evelyn's voice continued. I know about the Pemberton account, Graham. I know you moved money that wasn't yours to move. Graham stood up. Turn it off. Jude didn't move. I know about the Whitmore contract, Jude. I know what you promised and what you took. Jude's jaw tightened, but he kept the recorder playing. I know about Mr. Hendricks, Marianne, the life insurance, the donation, the convenient timing. Marianne's smile vanished. And Claire stopped breathing. I know you've been talking to Jude. About me, about the firm, about what happens when the old woman finally dies. Claire's voice cracked. That's not. Don't interrupt the dead, sweetheart. It's rude. Evelyn's recorded voice grew softer. I'm not angry. Not anymore. I've had 40 years to be angry. Now I'm just tired. A long breath on the recording, but I won't make it easy for you. Any of you. The safe in my office holds everything, every record, every proof, every secret I've collected over 4 decades. The combination is split into 4 parts. Each of you has one piece. You received it years ago, hidden in something I gave you, something personal. Graham looked at his wedding ring. Claire touched her necklace. Marianne clutched her purse. Noah sat perfectly still. You'll have to work together to open it. And when you do, a pause. You'll see exactly what I thought of each of you. Click. The recording ended. Silence. Then, Graham exploded. That vindictive bitch. Graham! Marianne clutched her chest. Don't act shocked, Marianne. You heard her. She knew. About Hendricks. About all of it. I don't know what she was talking about. Bullshit. Claire stood up. Everyone, stop. Stay out of this, Claire. No. Claire's voice was ice. You heard what she said. We each have a piece of the combination. That means we need each other, or we just blow the safe open. Graham muttered. Jude shook his head. Evelyn would have planned for that. Probably a failsafe. Destruction of contents if the lock is forced. You'd know, wouldn't you? Graham stepped toward him. You were her partner. And you were her husband. Seems like neither of us knew her at all. Noah finally spoke. She said something to me once. His voice was quiet. Last Christmas. We were in the kitchen. Everyone else was arguing about politics. They all turned to look at him. She said, Noah, when I die, remember that the things I did wrong were because I was afraid, not because I didn't love you. He looked at his family. Maybe she was afraid of us. Ever think of that? No one answered. Later that night, Graham sat alone in his study. A bottle of bourbon, half empty. He talked to himself. He didn't know Evelyn's camera was hidden in the smoke detector. The Pemberton file. He took a long drink. That damn file. If she'd never found. He stopped. That document. If it comes out, I lose everything. He poured another glass. The house. The accounts. Maybe my freedom. He drained the glass. Should have burned it years ago. Should have burned the whole safe. He laughed bitterly. Too late now. The dead woman's watching. In her cabin, Evelyn turned off the monitor. Her hands were trembling. Document. What document? She knew about the Pemberton account. Graham had moved money without permission. Unethical. Maybe illegal, but lose his freedom? That suggested something worse. Something criminal, something she had missed. She picked up the phone and called Elena. I need you to dig deeper. Into Graham. Into everything. How deep? Evelyn touched the brass key at her neck. Deep enough to find what I should have seen 40 years ago. Chapter 6. Someone knew too much. Wednesday morning. Evelyn's former secretary was found dead. Ruth Atkins, 61 years old. Worked for Evelyn for 18 years. She lived alone in a small house near Tybee Island. Quiet street. No enemies. The police called it a home invasion. Broken window. Ransacked drawers. Body found in the kitchen. Elena called Evelyn at 7 a.m. Ruth is dead. Evelyn couldn't speak. Evelyn, did you hear me? How? Officially? Interrupted burglary. She fought back. Head trauma. And unofficially? Elena's voice dropped. Nothing was stolen. Her purse was on the counter. Cash inside. Jewelry in the bedroom. Untouched. Evelyn closed her eyes. Someone was looking for something. Or silencing someone. Ruth knew things. She had been Evelyn's gatekeeper for almost 2 decades. Every file crossed her desk. Every secret passed through her hands. If anyone knew what was really in that safe, it was Ruth. And now, Ruth was dead. Elena arrived at Evelyn's cabin by noon. She brought photos. Crime scene. Preliminary report. Evelyn forced herself to look. Ruth's kitchen. Blood on the tile. A broken coffee cup. Ruth's body. Covered with a sheet. She made coffee. Evelyn whispered. She knew the intruder, or trusted them enough to turn her back. Evelyn looked at the broken window. That's staged. The glass fell outward. Someone broke it from inside. After. Elena nodded. I noticed. This wasn't robbery. No, this was murder. Yes. Evelyn studied the photos, looking for something, anything. Then, she saw it. Ruth's desk. Papers scattered on the floor. One folder was visible. The label was partially readable. PEMB. Pemberton. The same account Graham had mentioned. Elena. Evelyn pointed at the photo. That folder. Can you get it? It's evidence now. Can you get a copy? Elena hesitated. This could cost me my badge. Ruth died because of what she knew. Evelyn met her eyes. If we don't find out why, more people will die. A long pause. I'll see what I can do. That afternoon, Elena returned to Ruth's house. She wasn't alone. A forensic team was still processing the scene, but Elena knew where to look. Ruth's filing system. The backup copies she kept at home. The Pemberton folder was gone, taken into evidence. But Ruth was old school. She made copies of everything. Elena found them in a shoebox, under Ruth's bed, labeled insurance. Inside 5 folders, 5 names. Pemberton, Whitmore, Hendricks, Hart, Lawson. Every person connected to the safe. Every secret in one place. Elena brought the box to Evelyn that night. Evelyn opened the Pemberton file first. 10 minutes later, she understood. My God. Elena leaned closer. What? Pemberton wasn't just a client. Evelyn's voice shook. He was a witness to a land deal 22 years ago. What kind of deal? The kind that made Graham rich. Evelyn held up a document. This is a sworn statement. Pemberton was going to testify. Graham bribed a county assessor, rigged property valuations, made millions on developments that should never have been approved. And Pemberton was going to expose him? Yes. Evelyn turned the page. Until Pemberton died. Natural causes. Heart attack. That's what the coroner said. Evelyn pulled out another document. But look at this. Pemberton's doctor. Same doctor that signed my sister's husband's death certificate 5 years later. Same doctor who donated heavily to my sister's church. Elena connected the dots. The doctor was paid off. Twice. Maybe more. Evelyn's hands were trembling. My husband, my sister, they weren't just greedy. They were covering up a murder. The room was silent. Evelyn stared at the documents. 40 years of marriage. 40 years of lies. I slept next to him, she whispered. Every night, for 4 decades. Evelyn, he killed a man, or had him killed. And I never knew. Elena put a hand on her shoulder. You couldn't have known. I should have. Evelyn's voice hardened. I'm a lawyer. I read people for a living. How did I miss this? Then she saw the last folder in the box. Lawson. Jude's file. She opened it slowly. Inside photograph. Surveillance shots. Jude meeting with Graham. With Marianne. With a man in a black coat. The man's face was circled in red marker. Ruth had written a note. Same man at Pemberton's house the night before he died. Evelyn dropped the folder. Jude knew. Elena looked at her. He's not just my partner. He's their cleaner. Evelyn stood up. Her legs were unsteady. Every time someone got too close to the truth, Jude made it go away. And now, Ruth. Ruth kept records. Ruth knew too much. Evelyn grabbed the brass key at her neck. Just like me. Elena's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. Her face went pale. What? Evelyn asked. Forensics found a fingerprint at Ruth's house, on the broken window frame. Whose? Elena turned the phone around. The name on the screen? Jude Lawson. Evelyn felt the floor shift beneath her. Her partner, her trusted friend. The man she had built a firm with, a murderer, and he was still out there, still looking for the safe. Chapter 7. A Daughter's Knife. Thursday night. Claire sat alone in her hotel room, the Marriott on River Street, 3rd floor, city view. She hadn't slept in 2 days. The laptop on the desk glowed blue. Open files. Open secrets. She had known about Jude for 3 months. It started with an email. A message from an anonymous account. No subject line. Just an attachment. Inside documents. Transactions. Meetings. Jude and Graham. Jude and Marianne. Money moving in circles. And one name that made Claire's blood freeze. Henderson Medical Group. Her father's cardiologist, the same doctor who told Evelyn she had nothing to worry about last year. Claire had done her own research, quietly, carefully. What she found was worse than she expected. Graham wasn't just hiding money. He was planning. Insurance policies, account transfers, property reassignments, all contingent on one thing. Evelyn's death. Claire hadn't warned her mother. That was the truth. The ugly, shameful truth. She told herself she needed more evidence, more time. But part of her, a small, dark part, had thought, maybe it's better this way. Maybe Mom's death solves everything. She hated herself for that thought, but she had still thought it. And now her mother was dead. Or was she? Claire pulled up her phone. The text from an unknown number. I know what you found. Meet me at the office. Tonight. 11 p.m. No signature. Could be Jude, could be anyone. But Claire was done hiding. She arrived at the office at 10:45. The building was dark. The security guard had gone home. She used her emergency key, the one her mother had given her for absolute emergencies. 3rd floor, room 7, the safe room. Someone was already there. Jude Lawson stood by the window, his arms still in a sling, his face half hidden in shadow. Claire. His voice was calm. I wondered if you'd come. You sent the text. I did. Why? Jude turned to face her fully. Because we have the same problem and the same solution. My mother is dead, Claire said. Is she? The question hung in the air. Claire's heart stuttered. What are you saying? I'm saying your mother was the smartest person I ever met. And smart people don't die in car accidents. Jude stepped closer. They fake that. Claire couldn't breathe. You think she's alive? I think she's watching. Right now. Probably from a camera I haven't found yet. He smiled at the ceiling. Hello, Evelyn. In her cabin? Evelyn froze. He knew. How long had he known? Claire's voice shook. If she's alive then we still have a chance. Jude's smile faded. Your father and your aunt have made a mess. A very expensive mess. With very real consequences. Ruth knew too much. She kept records. She was going to talk. You killed her. Jude tilted his head. Did I? Your fingerprint was on the window. Fingerprints can be planted. You know that. Claire stared at him. Then who killed Ruth? Jude's eyes went cold. Ask your father, Claire. Ask him what he did the night Ruth died. Ask him where he really was. No, your father made a call that night to a number that doesn't officially exist. 3 hours later, Ruth was dead. You're lying. Am I? Jude pulled out his phone, showed her a call log. This is Graham's burner phone record. I have a friend at the phone company. That number? It's registered to a shell company. Same company that paid Marianne's church donation. Claire's legs buckled. She grabbed the wall for support. Daddy wanted your mother dead. When she didn't die fast enough, he got impatient. But she's alive, which means his plan failed. And now he's desperate. Jude pocketed the phone. Desperate men make mistakes. Your father is about to make the biggest mistake of his life. Claire looked at Jude, really looked at him. Why are you telling me this? Because I need an ally, someone inside the family. You want me to help you? I want you to help yourself. Jude leaned closer. The safe holds proof. Proof that could destroy your father, your aunt, maybe even you. I haven't done anything. You knew. You didn't warn her. In court, that's conspiracy. Claire felt sick. But if we open the safe first, Jude continued, we control the narrative. We decide what comes out and what stays buried. You want to destroy the evidence. I want to survive, don't you? Claire was silent for a long moment. Then she whispered something. Words meant only for the camera she now believed was there. Mom, I didn't warn you because I was scared, not because I wanted you dead. She looked directly at the smoke detector. I'm sorry. I should have told you. I should have trusted you. Tears ran down her face. Real tears. But I'm telling you now, don't trust Jude. He's not trying to save anyone. He's trying to save himself. Jude's smile disappeared. Bad move, Claire. Get away from me. She backed toward the door. Jude didn't follow. But his voice did. You think your mother will forgive you? After everything? Claire reached the door. I think she'll try. She opened it. That's more than you deserve. She disappeared into the hallway. Jude stood alone in the safe room. His smile returned. Colder now. Still watching, Evelyn? He looked up at the ceiling. Good. Because the fun is just starting. Chapter 8. The key around her neck. Friday, 2 a.m. Evelyn couldn't sleep. The cabin felt smaller now, the walls closer, the darkness heavier. Jude knew she was alive. How long before the others figured it out? She reached for the brass key on her neck. A habit, a comfort. The key had belonged to her grandmother, passed down through 3 generations. She had worn it every day for 35 years, and she had never known its real purpose until Ruth's files revealed the truth. The safe had 3 layers of security. First, a 6-digit combination, split into 4 parts, given to family members. Second, a biometric lock, Evelyn's fingerprint only. Third, a physical key, hidden in plain sight. The brass pendant wasn't just jewelry. It was the final key. The combination meant nothing without her fingerprint. The fingerprint meant nothing without the key. That's why no one had opened the safe. That's why they were all desperate. They needed her. Alive or dead? Dead, they could use her finger. Alive, they could force her to open it. Either way, she was the lock. Her phone buzzed. A text from Elena. Movement at the office. Multiple vehicles. Then another Graham. Jude. Marianne. All there. Then a third. They have something. A cooler. Evelyn's blood went cold. A cooler for transporting biological material, for keeping a fingerprint fresh. She called Elena immediately. They're going to try to fake my print. With what? They don't have your body. They don't need my body. Just my finger. Evelyn's voice was steady, but her hands shook. 3 years ago, I had minor surgery. A cyst removed from my right index finger. The hospital kept tissue samples. They bribed someone at the hospital, or threatened them. Evelyn grabbed her jacket. I need to get to the office. Now. Evelyn, it's too dangerous. If they open that safe, everything goes away. Ruth died for nothing. The truth dies. Silence on the line. I'll meet you there, Elena said. 20 minutes. The office building was dark. 2 cars in the lot. Graham's Mercedes, Jude's BMW. No sign of Marianne's Lexus, but that meant nothing. Evelyn watched from across the street, waiting. Elena's unmarked car pulled up beside her. They're inside. 3rd floor. Elena checked her weapon. I can't go in without a warrant. Then don't come in as a cop. Evelyn, come in as my friend. If something happens, it's self-defense. Elena looked at her for a long moment. Then she nodded. They entered through the back. Service stairs. No cameras there. Evelyn had designed it that way. 3rd floor. The hallway was dark, but light spilled from room 7. The safe room. Voices. Arguing. Graham's voice. Just do it, Jude's voice. The biometric scanner needs a live reading. This tissue sample is frozen. It won't work. Then make it work. I'm not a scientist, Graham. This was your idea. My idea was to get the safe open before everything falls apart. Marianne's voice. Maybe we should stop. This feels wrong. Wrong? Graham laughed bitterly. You helped kill a man, Marianne. You don't get to talk about wrong. Evelyn listened from outside the door. 40 years. 40 years of lies. Her husband, her sister, her partner, all of them. Guilty. She pushed the door open. 3 faces turned toward her. Shock, horror, disbelief. Graham dropped the cooler. It hit the floor with a wet thud. Marianne screamed. Jude just smiled. Hello, Evelyn. His voice was calm. I was wondering when you'd show up. You knew. Evelyn stepped into the room. I suspected. Jude shrugged. You're too smart to die in a car accident. I figured you were watching, testing us. And what did I see? Exactly what you expected. Jude gestured at Graham and Marianne. Greed, guilt, desperation. And you? Survival. His smile widened. I'm not a monster, Evelyn. I'm a pragmatist. Same as you? Graham found his voice. Evie, I can explain. Don't. Her voice was ice. Don't call me Evie. Don't explain. Don't make excuses. I never wanted to hurt you. You planned my death. You bribed my doctor. You stole from our account. She stepped closer. And when that wasn't fast enough, you had Ruth killed. I didn't. Your phone records say otherwise. Graham went pale. Marianne started crying. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know about Ruth. Graham said, we just needed to. Stop crying, Marianne. Evelyn's voice cut through. You've been fake crying since you were 12. It doesn't work on me. Marianne's tears stopped instantly. There she is. Evelyn smiled coldly. The real you. So what now? Jude asked. You call the police? Have us all arrested? No. No? I'm going to give you exactly what you wanted. Evelyn reached for the brass key around her neck. I'm going to open the safe. Everyone froze. What's the catch? Jude asked. No catch. You want to see what's inside? Fine. Let's all see together. She walked to the safe, pressed her thumb to the biometric scanner. The light turned green. She entered the combination. 6 digits. Numbers she had memorized decades ago. Then she inserted the brass key, turned it. The safe clicked. The door swung open. Inside folders, documents, USB drives, and one item that made everyone stop breathing. A gun. Old, worn, but unmistakable. Evelyn picked it up. This belonged to Mr. Pemberton, the man you killed 22 years ago. She turned to face them. His fingerprints are still on it. And so are yours, Graham. Graham stepped back. That proves nothing. This gun was used in another crime 8 months before Pemberton died. A convenience store robbery in Effingham County, unsolved. I don't know anything about that. Your fingerprints are on the gun, Graham. Your DNA. You were there. You're bluffing. Am I? Evelyn held up a folder. These are Ruth's copies. DNA analysis, ballistics matching, witness statements that were never filed. She dropped the folder on the floor. You didn't just bribe Pemberton to stay quiet. You were his accomplice in a robbery that left a store clerk paralyzed. Graham's face was gray. When Pemberton threatened to talk, you didn't just silence him, you erased him. And you've been erasing ever since. The door behind Evelyn opened. Elena stepped in, weapon drawn. Graham Hart, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder. Jude Lawson, you're under arrest for evidence tampering and obstruction. You can't do this, Jude said. There's no warrant. There will be. Elena smiled grimly. The district attorney is a friend. He's signing it right now. She looked at Marianne. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it. Chapter 9. The Family Court. Saturday morning. The interrogation rooms at Savannah PD filled up fast. 3 rooms, 3 suspects, 3 different stories. Elena watched through the two-way glass as Graham Hart fell apart. Graham talked for 6 hours. Not because he wanted to, because his lawyer told him to. Cooperate, the lawyer said. It's the only way to reduce the sentence. So Graham talked about Pemberton, about the robbery, about the cover-up. He blamed everyone except himself. Jude made me do it. Marianne pressured me. Evelyn was always so controlling. I had no choice. Elena recorded everything, but she wasn't satisfied. What about Ruth Atkins? She asked. Graham's face twitched. I don't know anything about Ruth. Your burner phone called a number 3 hours before she died. That wasn't me. We have the records, Graham. Someone must have stolen my phone. Try again. Silence. Then, Graham crumbled. I just made a call. That's all. I didn't know what they would do. Who? I don't know. Jude set it up. I called the number. I said Ruth needed to be handled. Handled. I thought they would scare her, make her leave town. His voice broke. I didn't know they would kill her. Elena leaned closer. But you knew it was possible, and you made the call anyway. Graham said nothing. That silence was an answer. Marianne's interrogation was different. She cried for the first hour. Then she realized it wasn't working, so she changed tactics. I was a victim, Marianne said. Graham manipulated me. He said we were protecting the family. By killing Pemberton, I didn't kill anyone. I just helped with the donation. The money Graham gave me. I didn't ask questions. $18 million. Over 20 years. And you never asked questions. Marianne's jaw tightened. I had faith. I trusted my brother-in-law. Faith doesn't buy silence. Money does. I want a lawyer. You have one. He's in the next room, telling us everything about your husband's death. Marianne went pale. What? Your husband, the one who died 5 years ago. Heart attack. Very sudden. Elena smiled without warmth. Same doctor who killed Pemberton. Same pattern. Same convenient timing. Marianne's facade cracked. That was Graham's idea. I didn't. But you benefited. The insurance. The inheritance. The grief that made you a saint in your community. You can't prove anything. We have the doctor's records. He kept copies. Just like Ruth did. Marianne finally broke at hour 3. She confessed to everything. The insurance fraud. The bribed doctor. The cover-up. But she saved the worst for last. There's something else, Marianne whispered. Something I never told anyone. What? Graham didn't just want Evelyn dead for the money. Marianne's voice shook. He was afraid of her. Afraid? She knew things about his past, about what he did before they met. What did he do? Marianne looked up. Her eyes were hollow. Graham killed his first wife 35 years ago. Before he met Evelyn, the room went silent. There was no investigation, no evidence. Everyone thought it was an accident. Marianne wiped her eyes. Real tears this time. But I knew. I always knew. And I said nothing. Jude's interrogation lasted 20 minutes. He didn't cry, didn't confess, didn't negotiate. He just smiled. You have nothing on me. We have your fingerprint at Ruth's house. Planted. I was meeting with clients that night. I have witnesses. We have financial records showing payments to known associates, business transactions, all legal, all documented. We have testimony from Graham and Marianne. Testimony from desperate people trying to save themselves. Inadmissible at best. Perjury at worst. Elena leaned forward. You think you're smart. I know I'm smart. Then you know we're just getting started. Jude's smile flickered. What does that mean? It means Ruth kept copies, digital copies, on a server you didn't know about. For the first time, Jude looked uncertain. She was smarter than you thought, and so was Evelyn. That afternoon, Evelyn stood in Elena's office. The evidence was overwhelming. Graham's confession, Marianne's testimony, Ruth's files. But Jude was still smiling. He'll walk, Elena said. His lawyers are already filing motions, character witnesses, alibi confirmations. He's covered every angle. Evelyn shook her head. Not every angle. What do you mean? Evelyn pulled out her phone. I didn't just watch through cameras. I recorded every conversation, every meeting, every confession. She pressed play. Jude's voice filled the room. Ruth knew too much. She kept records. She was going to talk. Then, I need an ally, someone inside the family. Then, if we open the safe first, we control the narrative. We decide what comes out and what stays buried. Elena stared at the phone. That's admissible. That's proof. Evelyn's voice was hard. He didn't pull the trigger, but he orchestrated everything. The cover-ups, the threats, the silencing. You got him. Ruth got him. Evelyn pocketed the phone. I just finished what she started. Later that evening, Claire arrived at the police station. She hadn't been arrested, hadn't been charged, but she needed to see her mother. Evelyn waited in a private room. 2 chairs, 1 table, no cameras. Claire walked in slowly, like she was approaching a wild animal. Mom? Sit down, Claire. She sat. Silence stretched between them. I didn't warn you, Claire finally said. When I found out about Dad, about the plan, I didn't. I know. I was scared and angry, and part of me, her voice broke. Part of me wanted you gone. I know that too. Claire looked up, tears streaming down her face. How can you just sit there? How can you be so calm? Because I understand. Evelyn reached across the table, took her daughter's hands. I wasn't a good mother. I was controlling, critical, cold. Mom, let me finish. Evelyn squeezed her hands. I thought control was love. I thought providing was caring. I was wrong. You weren't all wrong. I was wrong enough. Evelyn smiled sadly. You wanted me gone because I never made you feel wanted here. Claire sobbed. That's my fault, Claire, not yours. They sat together for an hour. Mother and daughter, finally talking, finally listening. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet, but it was a start. Chapter 10. Who cried and why? 1 month later, spring came slowly to Savannah. The azaleas bloomed pink and white along Forsyth Park. Evelyn sat on a bench, watching the flowers, feeling the sun. She was alive. That still surprised her some mornings. The trials were over. Graham Hart, guilty on 12 counts. Murder conspiracy, fraud, evidence tampering. Sentenced 32 years. No parole. He was 65 years old. He would die in prison. The last time Evelyn visited him, he looked like a stranger. Orange jumpsuit, gray skin, hollow eyes. Why? He asked through the glass. Why what? Why did you marry me? 40 years, if you knew. I didn't know. Evelyn's voice was steady. I suspected, sometimes, but I didn't know. Would it have mattered? Yes. Would you have left? Evelyn considered the question. I don't know. And now I'll never have to find out. She stood to leave. Evie, wait. Don't call me that. I loved you. In my way. I did love you. Evelyn looked at him. Really looked. I believe you, she said. But your love had conditions, and your conditions had victims. She walked away. She didn't look back. Marianne Pike, guilty on 8 counts. Insurance fraud, conspiracy, accessory after the fact. Sentence, 15 years. She cried at the sentencing. Real tears, for once. The judge wasn't moved. Miss Pike, You built a reputation on charity and faith, but your charity was funded by blood money, and your faith was selective. Marianne's church disowned her within a week. The donations stopped. The building was sold. She lost everything. Her house, her reputation, her community. Last Evelyn heard, Marianne was living in a halfway house in Macon, working at a laundromat, minimum wage. Some days Evelyn almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Jude Lawson fought to the end. Of course he did. His lawyers filed motion after motion. Character witnesses testified. Business partners vouched for his integrity. But the recordings were clear. The evidence was overwhelming. Guilty on 14 counts. Murder for hire, conspiracy, obstruction, sentenced life without parole. At the sentencing, Jude finally stopped smiling. "You think you've won," he said to Evelyn across the courtroom. "I don't think anything. I know. This isn't over. It is for you." Jude lunged at her. Deputies grabbed him, dragged him away. He was still shouting when the doors closed, but his words couldn't reach her anymore. Nothing could. Noah came by the house every Sunday now. He brought groceries, fixed things that needed fixing, sat on the porch and talked about nothing important. Today, he brought tomatoes from a farmer's market, bright red, still warm from the sun. "You're looking better, Mom." "I'm feeling better. Sleeping okay?" "Some nights." Evelyn smiled. "Better than before." They sat in comfortable silence. "I have something for you." Evelyn reached into her pocket, pulled out the brass key on its chain. Noah stared at it. "Mom, that's yours. It was mine. Now it's yours." "I don't understand." Evelyn pressed the key into his palm. "The safe is empty now." Evidence went to the police. Money went to restitution. The safe itself is just metal. "Then why give me the key?" Evelyn looked at her son, her quiet, steady, honest son. "Because you were the only one who didn't reach for it." Noah's eyes filled with tears. "At my funeral, my fake funeral. You were the only one who touched my coffin instead of asking about my money." "Mom, I spent my whole life using control as love, testing people instead of trusting them." She closed his fingers around the key. "I don't want to be that person anymore." Claire called that evening. "Mom, I got the job. The crisis management firm." "Yes, they want me to start next month." A pause. "I'll have to move back to New York." "I know. Will you be okay?" Evelyn smiled at the phone. "I'll be fine, Claire. I have Noah nearby." Elena checks in. "And honestly, I think I need some quiet." "You? Quiet?" "Surprising. I know." They both laughed. It felt strange, foreign. A mother and daughter laughing together, but good. That night, Evelyn walked through her empty house. The house where she had raised 2 children, built a career, hidden a safe full of secrets. The safe was gone now, removed by the police. Evidence in closed cases. But the hole in the floor remained. Evelyn stood over it. She had spent 40 years collecting proof of other people's sins. And in the end, the biggest sin was her own. She had married a murderer, employed a conspirator, loved people who only loved what she could give them. But she had also raised a son who touched coffins instead of counting coins, and a daughter who finally said, "I'm sorry," and meant it. That had to count for something. She reached into her pocket one last time. An envelope, sealed. Addressed to no one. Inside her own confession. Every secret she had kept. Every blind eye she had turned. Every suspicion she had buried. She walked to the fireplace. Struck a match. Watched the paper curl and burn. The smoke rose. The ashes fell. 40 years of secrets. Gone in 60 seconds. Evelyn sat in her empty living room. The house was quiet. The safe was gone. The key was given away. She had nothing left to control. Nothing left to protect. Just herself. For the first time in 40 years. That felt like enough. The next morning, Elena came by for coffee. "So," Elena said, "what now?" Evelyn looked out the window. The azaleas were in full bloom. "Now I learn how to live." "Any idea how to do that?" Evelyn smiled. "Not a clue, but I've got time to figure it out." Elena raised her cup. "To second chances." Evelyn touched her cup to Elena's. To the people who didn't reach for the safe. They drank in silence. Outside, spring continued without them. But for the first time in years, Evelyn didn't mind. She was finally part of it.